I was sitting at a coffee shop talking to my boyfriend when we got into an inane discussion about feminism. His stance, feminism is divisive. It does more harm than good in advancing the cause for women's rights. My stance? Feminism is essential to dismantling patriarchal structure which causes harm to women and men to a lesser extent. Unsurprisingly, we didn't reach a consensus. He laminated me for being one of those feminists that twist your arguments and blame all men. And I righteously judged him for not properly understanding the concept of feminism and its contributions to women's rights. The conversation stayed in my mind for weeks after, niggling at me. How could I change the mind and hearts of anyone if I couldn't convince my boyfriend of the importance and value of feminism? It caused me to question. How do we engage in conversations about feminism and gender equality in accessible and productive ways for all? Am I really being another angry feminist, and have my views or the way I express them become closed-minded and conceited? Is my expression and understanding of feminism purely based on Western experiences which do not adequately address concerns in his country, Fiji, or is feminism universal? Basically, am I being one-sided, conceited, white-centric, angry feminist? The answer is part yes, part no. I am an angry feminist. I am angry about the degree of violence that occurs in the world towards women, at, in large, the hands of men. 1 in 3 women have experienced gender-based violence in their lifetime. I am angry at the social norms which place limitations on what women wear, eat, say and do with themselves and their bodies. I am angry at everyday sexual violence that occurs to women that is normalized as okay behavior. I am angry at the way in which men use and exercise control and power over women in the home, in the workplace, in politics, and through religion. I will admit that this anger, fueled in part by my own recent experiences of sexual violence, has in some ways become one-sided. It stems from the idea that men oppress women. This is true, but how do we communicate this in a way that unites rather than isolates opponents, observers, and questioners of the feminist cause? How do we get the offended defenders of not all men on our side? A broader perspective of feminism. Whilst I recognise and understand that a greater proportion of these expressions of violence are faced by women, the same structures and norms which place limitations and threats on my life and the lives of all women also cause harm to men. It is the same patriarchal system which says men cannot express their emotions, limiting their emotional well-being and willingness to seek mental health support services for depression, anxiety, and other mental illnesses. It places unfair expectations and pressures on men and boys to provide for their families, to toughen up and be strong. Women themselves also support, maintain, and promote these patriarchal norms and values within the household and society. I see glimpses of this when I speak to my boyfriend, and he speaks of his experiences growing up. The expectations, pressures to be a man, to provide for his family, to hide his feelings, to look after his girl. For me, I speak of unwanted sexual advances, physical and emotional violence, expectations to look pretty, be pretty, and perform. What we both didn't realize is that my struggles are his struggles and his struggles are mine. They are from the same cause. Rigid gender expectations and norms influence, constrain, and threaten both our lives to different degrees. It was here I was at a crossroad. It is only after reading Bell Hooks' Understanding Patriarchy I understood that both realities can coexist. Men do oppress women, causing considerable harm, and both men and women are the causes and face the consequences of the same system that sanctions this oppression. Both women and men are also the solution to achieving gender equality. In the current political climate, which is becoming increasingly polarized, I think this wider view is more universal, allowing a broader audience to engage with feminist discourse. Ultimately, we will all learn from each other and understand how gender impacts our everyday lives and experiences. We must talk openly, think individually on the ways we express, and reinforce these norms in our lives and act together. We should not be divided, but united in our struggle for gender justice, whether that is under the banner of feminism or another, less politicized word.